Good morning, everyone, and happy Tuesday. It's going to be another hot one today, so try and keep the pets nice and cool. It's actually going back up to 39 on Friday, unfortunately, so do try to plan some low-key activities for this weekend, unless you're at a cottage or something like that. Today's video is about pet houses because this month is Dog House Repair Month. And a lot of people actually don't have dog houses for their dogs or cat perches for their cats. So I'm going to talk a little bit about them and what you should look for if you're trying to find one. Because there's a lot of things that you need to consider depending on how your animal likes to live, I guess. For dogs, when I initially started looking for Kaya, she was still a puppy. So obviously you want to make sure that when they are full size, they can still go in and turn around because you don't want them to get stuck and have to back themselves out. Ideally, you want the door to be on one side or the other, not in the middle, because if the wind comes a certain way, having the door off center gives them more protection from the snow or the rain or the wind or anything like that. You do want to make sure it's raised off of the ground in case it's really wet and you don't want the doghouse to flood. So Kaya's is on a set of 4 rubber feet. They're probably about this high. And then the house is on top of that. We don't get a lot of flooding, but her pen area is a little bit slanted. And there's a hole behind her doghouse where we got her a mini pool from Canadian Tire that she doesn't use. And so most of the water goes there. But we do have to keep going in to check that it's not flooded. You want either a removable roof or one with a latch because you have to be able to clean inside. Even if it's take everything out, hose it down, let it dry, and then put it back. You don't want the doghouse to get moldy. And in a lot of seasons it gets damp and the wood can rot. Depending on what you get it made of. There's plastic ones too. You could always just sit it on like a wood pallet if you have a one with feet on it to keep it off the ground. You want it to be weatherproof, meaning there can't be holes in it. It has to have somewhat of a roof that keeps the water from pooling on top. So even if it's a little bit slanted, it keeps the water from running into the house. You want to make sure that if it snows, they're going to be a little bit warm, and you can aid that by putting towels or cushioning pads on the bottom, because typically it's made of plastic or wood, and it'll keep not only their feet at a regular temperature, but the rest of their body won't get damp if the floor gets damp. And in the summer, it can be a great insulator against the heat. If you travel a lot and you want to take it with you, you want to make sure that it's easy to assemble or that it's portable. Now, Kaya's, we looked for a doghouse here and we found the exact same model in the States for half the price or less. And I have an aunt who lives in the States, so she ordered it and shipped it to us, and ultimately it saved us about $100 doing it that way. So this was back when our dollar wasn't such garbage, but that worked really well. It came in a big rectangular box with a bunch of pieces, and you just slid you had the base, you slid the 2 sides in and the back, then you hooked the roof on top and then put the front on. It was actually pretty easy, just screw the feet in the bottom. Easy to assemble. Kaya's doghouse looks like a log cabin. It has an offside entrance, and it's big enough for dogs up to 80 pounds. So she'll be pretty good. She's actually under 60 now, because we've been doing lots of exercise, so that's really good for her. There are super fancy ones that have heated floors, or you can install a fan if it gets really hot, but ultimately your dog wants shade and somewhere cool to lay if it's hot outside. For cats, if you have one of those cats that likes to climb everywhere, you want one with multiple entrances and multiple levels so that they can climb around. I actually know someone who installed a cat walkway in her house, meaning over doorways and things like that. So there's a ramp on one side, something on the top, and something on the bottom. If you're doing a walkway, you want to put them at all different angles, so they have to climb. They have to be able to grip whatever it is, so you can't just put bare wood planks. But you also want it to be easy to clean. So it has to be grippy but easy to clean, which is tough because unless you have some carpet or you can guarantee your pet won't go to the bathroom on the walkway, then you're going to have to Febreze a lot of it or use pet safe cleaners, that kind of thing. Some of them, they like to be high up, so having alternating ones where they can jump up. In terms of cat houses, they tend to prefer boxes that the things come in anyway. So I wouldn't spend too much on a cat house unless your cat really, really likes cat houses. There's a lot of ones online, the little igloo ones. Usually they like multiple entrances just because they're sneaky that way. It's a predator thing. But do make sure that it's easy to clean because that's a lot of extra work for you if you pick one that isn't. For smaller animals, and I've had, I think my first pet was a guinea pig when I was really little. I've had hamsters, had a lizard, I've had a bird, now I have Kaya. So I've had and I've had a few fish actually. We had a 7-year-old goldfish named Scooby. My brother got to name him, and he was really into Scooby-Doo at that point. But he was a really cool goldfish. He lasted quite a few years. But with small animals, you want features they can interact with. So for small rodents, it's toys, things that make noise. If they don't like mirrors, don't put mirrors in there because a lot of times they can actually scare them if they see it. Dangly toys that they can climb up or climb down. Wheels, the ones that they run in. Little water things if they like to play or bathe themselves. Lots of ramps because they like to climb. Even with birds, I find they like things they can climb. Birds prefer ropes that hang because they can climb themselves up that. Nests. It's a good idea to invest in shavings, that kind of thing. If you can you can actually hand sew them. They're pretty easy. You take a long rectangle and kind of fold it up into a hollow rectangle and have an opening on each side. Keep it nice and soft, and you can add little pieces of cloth or padding inside if you want to shape it to their body size, that kind of thing. But they do need to be able to stay warm. So keep it somewhere. Thank you for the like and whoever's watching. Keep them warm. Obviously, if you have a lizard, they're pretty good at doing that on their own. But, morning, Monica. Keep them warm. We had a little igloo-sized hut for my hamster when she was really little. Now, keep in mind, I was probably 7 or 8. And we filled it with little shavings, and I packed it around so that she fit. And that was her favorite place in her whole little cage to sleep, because it was so cozy. We had another one where we made, had a little, what's it called? Hammock almost. But then we put a little roof on it so she could sit and kind of have a little motion if she wanted that too. But do make sure they have soft floors. Lizards usually have sand. Birds don't usually have anything on the bottom just because all their poop goes down anyway. So anything you have there, you're going to have to keep cleaning and cleaning. But even something like newspaper is softer than the hard plastic or metal of the bottom of the bird cages. Fish, obviously, don't need to worry about that one because they swim. But just kind of looking out for that kind of thing. If you have questions about how to build or what features to put in your rodent cage or lizard habitarium, my lizard had a really interesting time because she had 2 perches, I guess you would call it, that she would jump from. Then we had vines on the side so she could climb up. Then we had something in the middle she could jump to, back and forth. But yeah, they have all different names, so that's always fun. But in case you're interested in getting one for your kids, that kind of thing, or looking for a seasonal appropriate, and by that I mean can handle both 39 degrees and, minus 30 degrees. Obviously, if it's that cold, keep them inside or hot. But just something that works for our climate here, even if it's not always where we want it to be. But that's all I have to say about pet houses. If you have questions about repairing them too, I know a little bit about it. I'm not an expert on woodworking by any means, but love snakes and lizards. My son has a red-tailed boa, and now, snakes. Oh, fun. They usually, as long as it's temperature controlled, they're usually okay. But lots of greenery and sand for them. I don't know how comfortable I would be with having snakes in the house, but that's just a personal preference. We've had everything. We kind of worked our way up. But the lizard that I had was probably this long. Not a big lizard. She was kind of cute. I have pictures of her somewhere. But definitely the good thing about kids and pets, and I know I've done a video on this before, is that it teaches them a lot of responsibility. So things like cleaning out the pet cage can be a big argument every time if they don't like cleaning it over and over again. Love the lizard. I'll try and find them. I think they're on Facebook somewhere in my old pictures. 2009 maybe 2010. But teaching them things like that. If you have bigger animals like cats or dogs, then it's about making sure they get exercise, things like that. If your animal has a horse, that's a whole other thing. They know all about the exercise and can part board if they don't have enough time to devote to exercising, so that they make sure that the horse gets the exercise they need. But things, again, for horses, like having a barn and a shelter that has at least 3 sides to block out the wind and a roof in case it rains, that kind of thing. You can get heated shelters. You can make sure they have blankets, but do be careful because they can get tangled and actually cut their legs if the blankets aren't tied properly. But thanks for tuning in, guys. I will be back next week, hopefully with a little bit more about the Healing Circles group sessions. I'm going to work on some more stuff this weekend and get back to you. Hopefully I'll have more to share about that on Tuesday. But I hope you stay nice and cool this week. It's going to be really hot. But my mom's coming home on Friday, so that's exciting too. I'll be at a concert, but it's nice to know that she's coming back. I hope you all have a fabulous week, and I will see you next week.